Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Real Breaks. My name is Tom Kolcheski, and we are live for 2020 Inception. But it's not just any 2020 Inception. We are honored to have a special guest up in your top right corner, Blake Jamieson, an artist from the Topps 2020 project.
Yeah.
Blake. So Blake is here for an hour with us as we rip some Inception, answer your questions, and talk about his past 2020 card, which was last week, Nolan Ryan. And what I'm really excited is you can see over his left shoulder, the Don Mattingly card. How sick is that? So we're going to get right into the break. I have one case we're going to start ripping, and then we're going to give a little bit. First, we'll give Blake a minute, and Blake, just give us a brief history about yourself. We'll get going.
Sure. What's up, guys? My name is Blake. I'm an artist. I'm based in New York City, currently working on the Topps 2020 project, which is awesome. And like you mentioned, I have this Don Mattingly card, which is available at Topps.com right now for the next less than 24 hours. So super excited to be here. It's also just really fun to be a part of the project because I actually grew up collecting cards and honestly hadn't done it for a long time. And because of this project, I've kind of gotten back into it, which is very exciting. My journey to become a professional artist that I do now, and I do focus mostly on professional athletes. This is my first time working with Topps, but I've done a ton of work with NFL players, NBA, MLB, individual players. And so my journey to like where I got here is very different than I'd say your average artist journey because I didn't go to art school. I didn't, really study art at all. I just ended up here because it was a passion of mine. I worked in marketing for a long time after college, and at the age of 30, I decided that I wanted to do something that I was passionate about. That is art, and I've been doing it ever since. So I'm 35 now. I've been doing it full-time for 5 years. So to go from like no experience in the art world to, I did enjoy drawing, but no real experience to like where I'm at now is, I don't know, very grateful to be where I'm at and grateful to be here tonight.
Excellent. And as Blake mentioned, just so you know, there is one of his cards up. And I'll give a quick 2020 project. It's 20 artists that Topps hired to do 20 iconic cards. And I'm in love with it. I have made the commitment. So at first, I honestly thought that every artist did one card. And then, so I told myself, I'm like, you know what, it's 20 cards, I'm going to get it. So I started buying it. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm like, every artist made 20 cards. So as of this point, I'm all in. I'm going to get all 400 cards, I told myself. So why not, right? But
awesome.
Blake had a Nolan Ryan. Was that last week, your Nolan Ryan?
Yep.
And what's really neat from a collector perspective is the cards are available for 48 hours. Then afterwards, it's kind of like a Topps Now card where they announce the print run. So as I've seen as a collector, that it feels like after the first couple, the print run have gone up a lot on as people become aware of it, and that's kind of expected. So you want to talk, Blake, while I open this first box, and I thought this would be a good product to do while we have Blake, because this is a pretty easy product to open. So it's going to be a little slower break, but I think the conversation will be good. Do you want to just talk a little bit about how you got involved in this project as I get going here?
Yeah. So it's funny because I think that the world has a way of working itself out. Whether you want to call it, whatever's supposed to happen happens. But about 6 months ago, I was working in the professional sports portrait world. I was painting individually for a lot of athletes. And so I've worked with a ton of very high-profile NFL guys, was just starting to break into some MLB. And I decided that I wanted to like take the business to another level where I'd start doing larger scale projects. So I'd start working with 10 players at a time instead of just one player at a time. And so I had a few different angles, one being working with agents or anybody kind of working tangential to the sports industry. The other way was working with brands, and Topps was one of the first ones that came to mind. And so I kind of had actually reached out to a friend of mine asking if he had any contacts at Topps. He didn't, but it was like a day later, Topps had jumped into my email inbox. They filled out a form on my website, and then it sent me an email, and it was this guy, Jeff from Topps, who's running Project 2020, and he said, "Hey, Blake, I've been following your work for a while. I'd love to talk to you about this project." And so we set up a call for the next day, and it was just it was awesome.
There we go.
That's it.
All right, we'll get more on that after our first box. So, Inception, if you guys, if you're new to Inception, I don't know where you've been. It's our 87th case for crying out loud, but we have, there's 2 parallels off the back. So you got a red Chris Bryant 75, Victor Robles green to the Nationals. Then you have 4 base cards. Now, Blake, I think you're bringing good luck to the group right now. Right now.
Oh,
So,
yeah?
Inception has been pretty awesome. There's some big rookies, as you know. So you got your base at Gallo, Alize, Albies. Hey, all right, whatever. A little bit of base. You got Trent Grisham. I'm actually a big Trent Grisham fan. Look at that. Yordan Alvarez, one of the biggest rookies in the product, right away for Johnny Nolan. See? Look at that, Johnny. Blake,
Nice.
So Nick said it's a little hard to hear me. I'll try to speak up, buddy. Turn up my volume a little bit. Some people like it when they can't hear me, so maybe that's a little better. But anyway, Blake, okay, so Topps contacted you.
Yep.
And then they said fill out a form. So what's the next step? What's the next going on in that?
So we had, they had the concept already for 2020, and the idea was, like you said, 20 artists reimagining 20 of their iconic, historic cards. So at this point, I didn't know which cards it was going to be. I didn't know which other artists it was going to be, but I was just really excited to be involved. And so there was just a little bit of back and forth negotiation, logistics of the contract, very simple, and then it was a go. And so they sent me the cards way ahead of time, and so I knew what they were going to be, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it to anyone. I was under a very strict NDA, and so that was difficult because I was just so excited about the project. So it wasn't until I think it was like mid-March after they announced it that I was like allowed to talk about it, and then it's been all Topps 2020 since then.
Nice. So one thing was I've been following Blake on Instagram, and I think after this break, you're going to go live and do a card, right?
That's right. I'm going to do Ricky Henderson, which will be my next card drop after this Don Mattingly goes off of Topps.com.
Nice. We'll get more into that.
Yep.
So Blake, people are asking what Blake got. Blake drew the Phillies-Rockies combo spot. So, not all are winners. But look at this one. Aquino, another big rookie. Wow. I'll tell you what, if we keep getting the big rookies, they're not going to let you go. John Hill will take that one.
There we go.
Aquino to 245. So far, 2 nice ones so far. So, okay, so Topps gives you the a picture or an image of each card they want you to do. And then how's the contract? You share a little bit with me. I don't know what you want to share, but your contract with Topps, how does that look? I think that's
Sure.
something I was curious in.
Yeah, so Topps gives me this, which is essentially the reference card of the Don Mattingly. I flipped the 2 images and then painted them, obviously. It's also on a very thick cardstock. I think it's 13 point, which is what the art cards are printed on, which is kind of fun. These are unique. So they give us these reference cards to work from. As far as the contract goes, and I can't speak for all artists. I think that the fun part about this is that there's such a big variety of artists. There's some that are, nationally or internationally known that have worked in the industry for so long and worked with huge brands. And there's some people who are, I'd say more up and coming. And then there's some people in the middle, and I probably fall somewhere in the middle, maybe trending towards the up and coming side. So maybe everyone's contract is different, but for mine, I get a small royalty percentage on the card sales, and I had a small guarantee just against every card, which so far the cards that have sold have smashed that guarantee. So it's not really for me about making money and selling. Selling a ton of cards does help me make more money, but it's not. This project isn't necessarily about making money from the Topps card sales. It's about, for me, expanding into a new market and breaking into baseball in a major way and connecting with new fans and our collectors.
Excellent. So here's your next hit, Tyler Alexander. I'll tell you what, your luck ran out after 2 cards, Blake. But you know what? Jason got a little rookie magenta to 99. So there you go. So okay, so you have the Nolan Ryans done, the Don Mattingly behind you, and again, that if you want one, you can join me in this madness. Go to Topps.com. Someone mentioned on the artist proof, so they have the cards available for 48 hours, and then they have 20 artist proofs. And I know I'm a part of an online community of Project 2020. That's always a sore subject. People's like, oh, we can never get them. But you think about it, you're competing with baseball card collectors, you're competing with art collectors, and there's only artist proofs. So, so Paul wants to know tell us which others you've done and next. So, yeah, so again, he's on the Nolan Ryan, the Don Mattingly. He said he's going to do the Ricky Henderson right after this. Do you want to, maybe after this pack, you can show me what you showed me earlier? For
sure.
So, a little difference about, and maybe Blake, you can explain it better than I can. You know, when I think of artists, I think of someone sitting down, taking a paintbrush, and drawing. And you know, maybe that's my Midwestern closed kindergarten art class coming through. But maybe explain your process a little bit. By the way, you hit another really nice card, by the way, coming up. So
it's great.
Here, I'll show it, and then you can get. Look at that nasty. It's a 10, Aquino.
Ooh.
John Hill. That's nasty.
That's sick.
I got a 9 out of 10 Aquino. So yeah, perfect time, nice hit, and now we can explain your process if you like to. I don't know the best way.
Sure. So my art is very, very much inspired by street art and graffiti, and so something that's very popular is the use of stencils. So a stencil can be made of many different materials. It's usually something like paper or poster board or cardboard, and you're essentially cutting out a picture out of the cardboard or out of the paper. And then you're using that almost like a shield, and then you're spray painting through it, so the paint only goes through the parts that you cut out. And the way that I cut stencils is a little bit different than most people. A lot of people design their stencils in Photoshop. They do all this kind of digital work, and then they print it out, and they just follow the lines of whatever Photoshop told them to do. My process is a little different, where I print out a full-size photograph of the painting I want to do, but it's just a photograph, grayscale, and then I'm taking a knife, and I'm cutting out and deciding what's going to be white and what's going to be black and what's going to be midtones, basically, any shade of gray. And so the secret sauce is, like, for me, with that knife, where, like, if I took the same photograph and I cut a stencil, I would never cut it twice the same way, just like I would never cut it the same as someone else.
Interesting.
Nice.
You want to show your, we'll do this pack, and then, you know what?
Yeah.
On the card,
yeah, I'll grab you show the
cool,
pack.
guys. This is pretty cool. I'll show the pack, and then I'll show the card that he's going to work on making. You guys will all recognize the card. You got Mookie, Nico, Solak, and Walker Buehler. Your hit, Dwight Smith Jr. to 245. For the Orioles going to Steven. So before you show it, I'm going to show you the cards. We were talking about different cards. One of the iconic cards. So I've collected this set. I've got a little overboard. I've bought a bunch of the original cards. So this is one of my favorite cards. A classic
Tens.
Griffey. You know, so you got your King Griffey Jr. 89 Topps traded. So show them how you're going to the process for making that.
So this is my stencil from that photograph, and it's gonna be a mirror image just because it's the bottom of the stencil. The top is a little harder to see because this is like, that's the grayscale photograph that I'm cutting from. But to see like what that work looks like, it's easier to show you the back. So what you end up with is like, I guess thankfully it's cropped a little bit.
Oh, you're good.
Over there is perfect.
Yeah.
So we end up with like a little bit stylized, almost kind of like a cartoon. And I'll do like 2 layers of this, a white layer and a black layer. This is the black. And those are both done with spray paint. And then everything in between, which is all like the skin tones and midtones and jersey, that's all done like you think about, like you sitting there with a paintbrush and done manually, which is fun.
So there you go. So, and then there has been one Griffey we were talking about, another artist. This is their Griffey.
Yep. Saladin.
And his he did just release the first Derek Jeter the other day, and the population was just under 10,000. It's amazing.
He crushed it.
Amazing. So
yeah,
it was pretty.
I was so happy for him. He's an amazing artist and a super nice guy. I've known him before the project. We did a show together with the Phillies, Philadelphia 76ers, and yeah, he's just a great dude. So it couldn't happen to a better guy.
You know, we just got Blake. We just got someone trolling the video promoting their brand. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. We'll take care of it.
You're probably doing something right.
That's all right. Yeah. Promote all you want. We'll kick you out. So there you go. Maybe they'll get you on there. Kevin says hi. You said you know Kevin. He's the one that first reached out to me. So
I do know Kevin.
Blake on here. So Kevin, Kevin had some good questions on.
Kevin
Yeah,
Wyrack.
Kevin Wyrack from
Oh,
Minnesota.
right.
His questions. Maybe you want to talk a little bit
Ooh,
about.
look at
Yeah,
that.
that's cool. It's Toro for the Astros. So it seems like you're hitting the. What is this? An only Astros and Reds break so far.
Nice.
So.
I'm hoping for some Rockies.
Yeah, Rockies and Phillies. So Craig asked,
Yeah.
do all the artists have the same cards to do? And the answer is yes. And you want to explain a little bit what you mean, the direction you got from Topps?
Sure. So we were given 20 reference cards. For the most part, I think it's the rookie cards. There were a few exceptions, but we were given pretty strict instructions saying this is what you have to work from, but you can take your own direction and reimagine it however you want. And so you look at like the Trout card, for example, very iconic. And then you'll see like what Ermsey did with it, the very first Trout release. I love his work. I think it's like super funky and awesome. And then we saw the one that released today
here's
from
his first Trout you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. So like that's super funky. I mean, you can tell it's that card, but it's still in the style of Ermsey. And then the one that came out today, which is by, I think it's JK5, is his art handle, JK5NYC maybe, or Art Tech. I'm not exactly sure. I'd actually have to look that up. But it was more, probably closer to something like I will do, where it's more photorealistic, but still very stylized and like graffiti and awesome. Like the Trout that came out today was just fire.
Yeah, that was pretty. Do you want to talk about your Trout? I've seen the teasers for the arm of your Trout. You want to talk about that? I think it's pretty cool. And just a little side note, when a lot of these cards, by the nice little Brian Reynolds to Mike Alessandro, when you see a lot of these cards, like a lot of artwork, you got to look a little deeper, you know. And when I saw a picture on a page, there was someone commented on Blake's on the Trout arm. They're like, "Why does he have a lightning bolt on his arm? You know, that's so dumb. That's so dumb." And I'm like, "All right, if anyone knows Mike Trout, you want to explain why you put a lightning bolt on his arm?"
Of course. Of course. Okay. So, actually, I gotta get the white. I gotta get the other pencil there.
All right, we'll do box number 8 while he's gonna. Anyone enjoy? I think this is super fun. It's a little behind the scenes. Not very often. I mean, guy makes cards. They're selling by the tens of thousands on Topps.com. Lazaro.
Yep. All right. So, Millville Meteor. So we have, you'll see it, it's like a, I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can. So it's actually funny because this kind of happened. I was actually thinking about working it in, and then I was just working on the arm, doing what I do, making these like, and this, like I mentioned, like in the shades of gray, like there's no fades in a stencil. It's like, it's one or the other, right? So oftentimes I'll do like the checkered pattern. So you'll see it, you know, there's another one down here.
Okay.
Go. And then the one in the arm is a lot more obvious, but it just worked out and fit so well. And like, obviously, like he still has ties to Millville High School so much that I'm also thinking with the colors, I might actually do it orange and blue, which I think would be like really fun. I don't know if you noticed, but today in the card drop, like I felt like I saw some orange and blue tones in the background that I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but I thought it was awesome.
And we didn't say so Millville, their high school nickname is
Thunderbolts.
So yeah, so I heard someone say, "Oh, he's not a superhero," but when you think about that, I mean, how cool is that? And Mike Trout seems to be big on his hometown, from everything I read. Seems to be a very personable guy, and to add,
So I guess he goes back every year and gives his jersey to the senior or the captain of the baseball team. Yep. And I think he was also like a stud at basketball as well.
Wouldn't surprise me.
He was just an athlete.
You know, in the first MLB Network, their first, they had the draft live. Only one player in the first round came and did the live draft. You know, like in the NFL, how players show up? Yeah. The first one they did was MLB, and only one player came because a lot of them are still playing, and it was Mike Trout. Isn't that funny? So
that's awesome.
Here, we'll do this next box, and we'll get in. Any other questions? Okay. I'm just reading some of the comments. A lot of positive comments.
Yeah.
What card has there been any cards that you got and you're just like, how do I make this my own? Like, how do I approach it? And I'll just tell you that Don Manley, when Blake first told me he was going to flip the Don Manley, and I personally thought that's genius. It's absolutely genius. I loved it. I thought it was great. So,
sorry, I'm grabbing some. I actually have all the reference cards here. I'm going to grab one real quick.
Okay, yeah. Is anyone else thinking, how do I get one of those reference cards? Because those got to be worth some cash. Right? They only made 20 of them. They give each one an artist.
Yeah, I know, right? They're pretty cool. So, okay, here's some. Okay, actually, here's the best example of one that I think will be my most challenging. Also, this is ridiculous. So, Topps sent me 20 boxes like this because I said, hey, they first sent me digital files, and then they said, if you want some physical cards, because you could just paint straight on the cards, we could release those, or just to like use as reference. I said, yeah, send me some of those. So I get big boxes where I have 20 of these. That's what's in it. And they're thick, so there's 8 cards. So like why they didn't put all of these into one box, I will never understand.
So a good question, are they gonna, how many versions, revisions of a card do you do? You know, a painted. How many times did you do that Don Manley before it's the final one?
So that's actually a great point. I'll show you that.
And I was looking, if you guys look at Blake's, I put it his Facebook page. He did a bunch of really cool Don Manley artwork on cardboard, and that's for a purchase, and a portion goes to Don Manley charity, correct?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep. Made my first donation to them today, proudly, which is great. So I'm doing a lot of these card artwork for the cards on foam board, actually. Usually I work on canvas. I was trying to find something lightweight and also cheaper than canvas because I am doing multiples and then deciding which one's the best. So like in Don Mattingly's case, I did this main face. I did that once and I liked it, so I didn't mess with it. But I wanted to do the smaller picture of him in the field. This is the one that ended up making it onto the printed card. But I did several other versions. And the fun thing was I did this and then I posted the picture of all of these on Facebook, on that private 2020 group. I posted on Blowout forums, and I let fans vote and say which one do you want to be on the card. That was super fun because it got people kind of excited about the card and feel like they get to be a part of the process. And also it makes me know that like what I'm putting on the card is what people want to see, which is also important to me since sales dictate, me paying rent.
Favorite player or team? I'm guessing Yankees, right?
Well, that's a great question. I grew up actually. I was born in San Francisco, and I grew up an Oakland A's fan.
Nice.
And I had Oakland A's season tickets from the age of 2 on through my childhood with my dad. So I definitely say like Oakland A's was my team. I was born in '85, so like that era of Bash Brothers, Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire were like my idols growing up. And also being in California and being a young impressionable boy with a dad that loves baseball, like I actually grew up being told we hate the Yankees because, everyone loves to hate the Yankees because they're awesome. But obviously I've grown up now. I make my own decisions. And, in working with so many professional athletes and meeting all these guys across all different teams, I don't really have favorite teams anymore. I have favorite players, and I will follow them from team to team because they're loyal fans and art collectors of mine. So like there's a lot more examples of mine in NFL because I painted like 300 of them, but I will follow players more than teams. And yeah, I mean, also now that I live in New York, I do love to go to Yankees games when they're happening. I went to Yankees spring training. This was from spring training in Tampa earlier this year, actually the home opener of spring training, which ended in a freaking tie, which was frustrating, but it was fun.
Nice little Giants hit as we keep going.
Nice. Who was it? Sorry.
Giants, a rookie, Dubon. I am the worst pronunciation of Latin American last names and first names and American. It doesn't matter, I guess, what origins are.
So I was living in Marin County, north of San Francisco, during most of the years that that the Giants had their dynasty. So I went to a lot of Giants games too. That was a lot of fun.
Nice. Here's a good question. Licensing. How does licensing work as far as go with the player or with MLB?
Sure. It's a combination of everything. With something like this Topps contract, Topps has a license with the MLB, and the MLB owns the likeness of all the players. As soon as Don Mattingly or Aaron Judge or anyone puts on the Yankees hat and is photographed, MLB owns the rights to that, and they can license it to someone like Topps. You still have to get clearance from the players, but it's just it seems to me like that's more of a formality. Like I don't know, maybe behind the scenes players say no, I don't want that. I don't want that picture put on a card. Who knows? Maybe that happens and I just don't know it. So when I'm working with Topps, it is they're the licensor, and I'm just like I'm using their sub license basically. When I'm doing my other artwork, it's usually not that big of a deal for me because I'm not mass producing a bunch of baseball cards like Topps is. I'm just doing one painting and I'm doing it for the player themselves. So obviously in that case, I have the player's permission because they're asking me to do it. In the past, I haven't gone to the leagues and say, hey, can I paint, this Drew Brees painting for Drew Brees? Because that would not be necessary if I'm just doing a one-of-one. That makes sense.
Sure. Do you want to talk first? A good question from a couple questions. So first, Jeff Harrington asked, any other sports besides baseball and football? Like I've seen some basketball work on your page.
I have. I've worked with some amazing basketball players. I was fortunate I did a lot of work for Duke basketball when Zion was there, his last season there. And so I did a Zion portrait. I did a team portrait. I painted a custom basketball for them. Also in the basketball world, I did Donovan Mitchell. I just did Meta World Peace. He had a picture with Kobe Bryant when he was on the Lakers, which is awesome. Also, Will Bynum. I think the picture was him on the Pistons. Also being guarded by Kobe. So obviously Kobe's passing was super sad, but when that happened, a lot of players that played with or against Kobe came to me to have me recreate those moments for them. So that's a lot of basketball stuff. And then as far as other sports, I played lacrosse in college, and I really love lacrosse. So I'm working with the Premier Lacrosse League. I've done a lot of work for them so far, and for the upcoming season, which hopefully it does not get postponed, I will basically be the official artist of the league, which would be incredible.
That's awesome.
And then I'm also doing something with tennis. So the World Team Tennis is a league basically, and I'm doing a lot of work with them. Done last year, and I've got a lot more planned for this upcoming season. Right. And then MLS too, actually, soccer players. So
one thing,
to answer your question, a ton of other sports.
A ton of other sports. Now, Craig asked, any other commission? What are some big name commission players? So feel free to name drop.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's see the biggest players I've worked with. Drew Brees is definitely up there. And also, so like commission is a tricky thing because a lot of what I do in my business is actually strategic gifting, where I'm giving players a painting for free, and I do that to help promote myself and get my name out there. So a lot of the biggest names that I've done, I've either done for the player for free, or I've done for the player and then we auction it off for charity together. And those guys always love that. It's a good way that I've found to help get those megastars really excited about what I'm creating. So Drew Brees is up there. I think Donovan Mitchell's awesome. Let's see here. Antonio Brown, I know has got a lot of drama, but I've done 4 or 5 paintings for Antonio Brown while he was in the league. And also, like, outside of the athletes themselves, like a lot of maybe celebrities that are not athletes. So like Howie Mandel, super nice guy to work with, super fun, from America's Got Talent. Gary Vaynerchuk from VaynerMedia and everything, just Gary V. So a lot of big names.
You want to tell a story? I thought it was fun. Jeff, he does sell online. I put the link to his Facebook group or page and the title. But I love the story you talked about selling the NFL when you gift in. You want to go on that one? We got time for a good story for that. So
Yeah. So tying back into like the strategic gifting. So and this really started because when I got into sports portraits, it was just because I met this guy who used to play in the NFL and now he was a manager and he loved my work and he said, "Hey Blake, if you want, I rep all these football clients. Why don't you paint 3 of them for free? I'm going to get them to post about it on social media, and then their teammates are going to buy them, and it'll be worth your time." And at the time, I was like, "All right, sure, let's try it." And so I did 3 paintings for his 3 clients, and that literally translated like immediate results into 3 paid paintings from teammates of each of those players. They were all on different teams, and so I've kind of built that into my strategy for marketing and promoting my art. So I call it strategic gifting. And what I will do is I will identify one team and then I'll pick 2 or 3 players and I'll reach out to them ahead of time and say, "Hey, if I make you an awesome painting, will you post about it on social media? Will you tell your friends about it? By the way, I've painted for Drew Brees and so and so and so and so and so and so." They always say yes because everyone wants free stuff. And I'll do them all in a row and then I'll ship them to the training facility because the training facility will actually open the packages and then they're going to put them in the players' lockers. And so then the next time that everyone comes into the locker room, there's 3 of my paintings just sitting in the lockers, and all the other players are like, "Oh, what is that? Like, how do I get one of those?" And of course, I'm writing my phone number and my email address and my social media on the back of all the paintings. I include extra business cards. I put a personalized note. And every single time I do that, I will get, on average, at least 1 full price paid commission for every 1 strategic gift.
Awesome. I thought that was pretty cool. So we got 1 hit left, and so in this product there's 2 case hits. And Nick was giving us a hard time because we kind of skipped over his Lazaro. It's a 25 gold. The other case hit's a jumbo patch auto, and so we got it going here. So last chance for any questions from Blake. Ooh, look at that. That's nasty. Nico Horner.
Oh, I like that.
H and Horner, rookie on the Cubs. We got a lot of big rookies in this case. At a 90.
Right.
I like this product. So, okay, Blake, if you were to pick a modern baseball player, because that's the thing on yours, you get Mike Trout. Is the only modern player. What modern player would you like to do a portrait of besides Trout?
I mean, I'm very excited about the Jeter. I think that one is going to be super fun. I don't know, man. It's a good question. It's funny because like I'm nostalgic, so like I would love to do more. Like I would love to do a Jose Canseco because I'm already getting to do Mark McGwire, and doing him would just be freaking awesome.
Sure.
You know,
show that McGwire.
Judge would be fun also.
So what are you going to do with this card? What's your thoughts?
So I've got I'm actually really excited about that card. So you know how you have that wood grain background right there?
It's horrible.
I'm gonna take it to the next level. I'm gonna make the whole background of the card is gonna be wood grain, but it's gonna be like stylized graffiti spray paint wood grain, and then it's just gonna be him in the green popped. And I'm also like zooming in, so he's gonna be like bigger. We're not gonna get as much of his butt. We're gonna get more of his like back and his number. Which I think is going to be fun.
Nice. No, it's a good card. So I'm partial, and I know I get in debates. This is such iconic to people with the wood grain. My favorite is the 86 Topps, where it's black on top, which 99.99% of baseball card fans hate 86 Topps, and maybe that's why I like it so much. So,
man, I think the card I grew up on that was like my most prized possession was that 85 Team USA.
Oh, McGwire. Yeah. I know. I saw a lot of people upset that they didn't do that for his card, but
I know they said Topps actually told me because I brought that up. That was how I asked them, knowing that every artist gets the same, because I'm like, hey, these are great, but could I do this other McGwire? And they said no, we couldn't get the licensing with Team USA. Was just too big pain in the butt. You know,
Panini owns the license to Team USA. So, but anyway, we're gonna do a recap, and if you have any last questions for Blake, and how can they can obviously reach you on your Instagram, which you're going live. What's the best place to follow you if people want to follow your work? Oh
man, that's a good question. I guess Instagram is a good place to start. I put a lot of stuff on there, and I'll be talking about other channels. I mean, I'm everywhere. I try to be everywhere. I use Twitter a lot to connect with fans and have good conversations. I put a lot of pictures of my art and live videos and stuff on my Instagram.
I would say the live videos are really cool to watch. So I know you guys, everyone's planned on snuggling in bed, watching me break for the next 5 hours, but I won't take offense. So if you want to go to Instagram in an hour, go check them out. Check out the work. So here's our base. I'm gonna read off the autos, and then we'll get back to you here in a second. So we got Beatty at a 245 Dodgers, Little Garcia 199 Cubbies, Newman at a 50 to the Pirates, Dubon at a 199 Giants, little patch auto, Golison at a 75 Dodgers, Yamamoto at a 50 to the Marlins, Chance Adams 245 Yankees, Brian Reynolds 99 Yankees, Yankees Pirates, same thing, right? Toro at a 199 for the Astros, Dwight Smith Jr. at a 245 Orioles, Tyler Alexander at a 99 Detroit, and then we call our showcase kind of the better hits. Lazaro at a 25, one of our case hits. Jordan, we always say his auto looks like Yabba Dabba Doo. You see that?
Totally
245 Astros. And Aquino at a 245. Nico Horner at the nice patch at a 90. And how about at a 10, Aquino? Reds had a big one for John Hill. All right. Any so if you're a hardcore baseball fan and you're not, you appreciate art, but you're not really an art fan. What's the draw? What do you the Topps 2020? How are you seeing hardcore baseball fans kind of get into it, or kind of vice versa?
So it's fun. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that have followed my artistic journey and like to do what they can to support. And it's great because I know that $20 for one baseball card seems like a lot, and it is a lot, to be honest, especially now with everything that's going on. But if you compare that to like the average price point that I'm selling art for, an original is in the thousands, or even a print, I mean, starts at $100 for something small. So it gives people a very easy way. If they can spend $20 and support me and feel good about getting something cool, then it's allowed like more of the people that have followed my artistic journey to get involved in my artistic journey. And a lot of them have said, hey, I haven't thought about baseball cards in 2 decades. And because you did this with Topps, I've now gone into my garage and I pulled out my binders and I pulled out my boxes, which is something that I did personally. And so it's fun to see those people that are being like reintroduced to collecting because of this project. And then in terms of like the hardcore collectors that maybe are not so much of the traditional art fans, it's been really interesting because I've seen a shift in the conversation. I've joined blowout forums, which has got a lot of very passionate collectors and great guys on there. And at first they were very skeptical of the set. They didn't understand it or they didn't like it. And I jumped into the conversation and just said, hey guys, I'm Blake. I'm one of the artists. This is what I do. This is why I love it. Like, I'm here to like build relationships and learn from you guys. So that's been really cool because now the conversation has completely changed, even in the last week, where now people that were first kind of writing off the set as a failure are now saying, you know what, actually, now that we have an artist perspective and we understand, like, this is actually really cool. And, it's okay if we don't like every single card, because if we like a couple, then that's great. And also the secondary market has been very high on these cards. And so anybody that bought in the first, there's been 33, 34 cards so far. Anybody that bought any of those 34 cards could literally sell them on eBay right now and make a small profit. In some cards, like that Ermsey Trout you have, you get a lot. You can flip that for a lot. So now people are seeing that, and that's snowballing into like bringing even more people into that conversation and jumping on the bandwagon. And we're seeing things like, the Jeter the other day got almost 10,000 print run. And I think that that's not going to be the lowest print run. I think that we're going to break 10K. I wouldn't be surprised if we break 15, and it's probably going to be a Jeter or a Trout, hopefully by me.
Excellent. So we'll leave it there. If you have any want to interact with Blake anymore, check out his Instagram, his Twitter. He's a very accessible artist, and we really appreciate having you. I think it was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it and
awesome.
Bring us perspective. So if you're looking for breaks, I'll be back in in 15 minutes or so. So hold on one second, Blake, and we'll let these guys go.
Yep.
All right, everyone. Thanks, and have a great night. We'll see you later.
All right. Thank you.